Aloha. Welcome to Jordan's Journal. I'm Representative Joe Jordan, and we are going to have an up-and-coming educational meeting on August 17th at the Waianae District Park, starting at 7 p.m. The focus will be on public education, and this is a second show in prelude to that meeting. So today I have guests from Kamehameha Schools, Kaiulani Sudaro. She's Director of Enterprise Planning and Strategic Planning, and Maili Kili'ipio Akoba, Project Manager for Kapua. Yeah, thank you for joining me today. Yes, thank you. Those are big words in our community, Kapua. So could we kind of talk a little bit about Kapua and what it is and what we've been doing and where we're going with this initiative?
Sure.
So Kapua is Kamehameha's initiative to come into the community. We've been there for a long time, but our commitment to the community to come in and provide whatever resources we can to help strengthen the community. So starting with an acknowledgement that Kamehameha really wanted to find a way to educate more Native Hawaiian children, more than we are able to on the individual campuses. How do we reach out and how do we have a bigger impact for Native Hawaiian children everywhere? They kind of went out and looked for the areas that had the highest concentrations. So we've identified the Waianae Coast as having the highest concentration of Native Hawaiian children and have decided that that would be a good place to start to see what we can do with all the resources we have. A fairly large institution with some good resources and some good expertise. How can we offer that expertise to the community and be partners with the community to help strengthen the community itself so that the quality of education for those children and the children that are educated alongside them really increases so that they can attain higher levels.
Wow. Going further up into the educational
the ability to dream big dreams and know that they're capable of achieving those dreams.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Knowing we have a large populace of Native Hawaiian, especially with youth. Yeah. So the initiative.
Yeah, well, Kamehameha Schools has defined Kapua in three spheres, and real briefly, the first one is in partnership and supporting our Department of Education, and it's our Hawaii statewide partnership for P20. And Miley can speak a little bit more to that as well. And then obviously we're also supporting the state's efforts and DOE's efforts with Race to the Top.
Oh, yeah, Race to the Top.
And one of our strongest connections with Race to the Top is the Innovation Zone, or the Education Innovation Zone. The EIZ. It's funny, everything kind of takes on that real technical tone now with this younger generation. They're so technology savvy.
Yes, they are.
And the third sphere, in many ways, it's really the coast as our campus, to Miley's opening point about a new delivery model for Kamehameha Schools that really goes to the notion of a campus without walls and viewing the coast as our campus. And the third part is anchored by KS's physical presence, our facilities, our educational developments. And I can speak to that I'll speak to that last. It's a nice tying theme for our P20.
So the P20.
So the P20 looks at how do we provide those supports to DOE in their different complexes. So there's 3 complexes on the Leeward Coast that we are targeting. The Nanakuli complex is a complex that they are going to start with and moving to Waianae and then to Kapolei. But the idea is to assist DOE in identifying what they need, what resources we can bring to the table to help them strengthen the pipeline, to make sure that the transition points in the P to 20 continuum are smooth so that kids don't fall out of the system. And if they are falling out, how do we get them back in, and how do we provide the supports that they need to get them in? Are we making sure that kids from the preschool are ready to enter kindergarten, and that kids coming up through elementary are meeting proficiency levels by 3rd grade, because those are the critical benchmarks that have been identified. So working together with all the different providers, because there's not just DOE, there's also the charter schools, there's also the private preschools. So there is the Hawaii P20 program initiative, and through Hawaii P20 there is on our coast demonstration site for P3. And so the P3 demonstration site, which is run by, kind of overseen by InPeace, and we collaborate, that is starting from that prenatal point.
Wow.
And helping families learn about developmental stages and how to get their child ready for preschool, and then preschool into kindergarten, so all the way up to high school. So it's looking at the whole pipeline and making sure that the pipeline is solid, and that the resources that might be missing, that we identify those and are able to bring those into play so that they can help to strengthen that pipeline.
Wow. So the focus is definitely on early education, and the families supporting that early education,
Right.
making sure that they can merge right into the K program, which is kindergarten.
Right.
Then keeping them stable up through the third grade, which is that benchmark,
Right.
and then making sure at the 6th grade level they're ready to
moving
enter
to
into the 7th,
Correct.
and that transition in their process,
Right.
and then
And then moving into the high school for both complexes. And so already in the Waianae complex for the Sea Rider Productions Academy, we have provided support and consultation for the New Tech Academy. And so they've implemented New Tech. And so New Tech is a model program that is done across the nation, and it has, majority of the sites are low income areas. And so what it does is it brings into play project-based learning. It brings into play the utilization of technology, so every student has their own laptop for them to use to do their work. And it really stresses or emphasizes the 21st century learning skills. So bringing our high schools to that place where kids are engaging in improving their skills towards that 21st learning skill set will hope to better prepare them for the career and college phase. And already there is a post-high council that is already starting to meet. So the colleges are sitting down with the high schools now and talking about what is it going to take to prepare kids appropriately for college? What is it going to take to introduce college earlier so that kids can see that it is attainable,
Yes.
and they can plan better for it, and they can make sure the classes they're taking are preparing them for that curriculum. And so hopefully more kids will start going into college. So the
Yes.
colleges are now looking at how do they interact more closely in the high schools and not just wait till the kids get to college.
it's
So
a better mindset, you know.
Right.
Not just wait until you graduated. Now we got you, and
Yeah, it's
that
kind
sets
of
it up
too
for
late.
more failures. Where this could set it up to be more success,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and then
Being
kids
more, right.
maybe never thinking of going college
College.
would probably have the opportunity to go to college and be successful at it.
Right.
And one of the other unique things about New Tech High, so we're into our second cohort. We really went through one school year already, and we're ramping up to open the enrollment and do another a second year. So this way we're running 2 cohorts at the same time. Lots of people running around preparing for the school year that we just started for some
Yeah.
schools. Is that the content, it's a framework, you know, that other schools with similar socioeconomic problems that challenge the public school systems, it's the framework. It's just project-based. It's laptop one-to-one ratios with each student, but the content is for them. It's for the teachers. And so this way, there's always a concern, you know, about relevancy and building, you know, a sense of confidence and success around what you're learning, but it has to be relevant. And that was one of the things that attracted Kamehameha Schools to supporting New Tech. So it is experimental, and you know, we're going through it. We're in discussions with parents of students in it. How do we evaluate it? Miley was at a neighborhood board meeting last night talking about that very topic. And that shows, I hope it demonstrates the sincerity in trying to figure it out with the community while we go through these new programs that are in place. And then the last part is that jump to 20. And sometimes the 20 of the P20 is translated into age 20 or level 20. But it's the idea that we need to take our haumana, our students, a little earlier, and we need to keep them a little longer.
That's right, yeah.
And it's really the premise of that. And you know, the workforce has changed, the challenges of the world have changed, and so should our delivery systems.
Yes.
And so we have some exciting stuff on on that college pipeline part. Maybe Miley can share with Leeward Community College.
So in the college pipeline, just today, in fact, yesterday and today, a number of students, 350 students from the Waianae Coast, have gone to an UH overnighter at Manoa, and they're engaging in activities at Manoa. 9th graders from Waianae Intermediate School, the AVID program, the 8th graders in the AVID program are participating. And so it's introducing them early to the campus, allowing them to take part in activities that are happening on the campus, doing the tour of the campus, and starting to dream early and to see what the possibilities might be, and starting to know who the staff are on the campus, because they will get to know a few of the staff and have the ability to have conversations with them and talk to them, and then be able to come back and say, how does that fit into my life, and how do I want to plan for a possible future there. So in that whole pipeline, just those small little interventions, we're hopeful that we start to show kids that it is a possibility. And so even in our services, Kamehameha has been out there for a while providing services in various areas, preschools, we have the scholarship programs, we have the K-Scholars, we have literacy support services, along with the cultural enhancement in the summer, looking at how we're delivering services and making sure that our services are doing the most that they can to provide that support. So are we reaching the kids that we need to be reaching? Are there other ways that we need to look at our service delivery and how kids engage in our service in order to make sure that they have the full package moving towards the pipeline and into college?
Yeah, so if you start engaging with these kids and you see one kind of fall off the track for some, I mean, they disengage, or maybe the family has some kind of hiccup in their life, you'll provide that support to kind of refocus them back on their goals and dreams, and I'm assuming that's going to be part of all this project also.
That's really. Thank you for kind of flagging that, actually, Representative, because that really transitions us to the second component of Kapua, which is that notion. You know, what's the support system under taking our kids a little earlier and keeping them a little longer? What does that look like? And that's what we call the EIZ, the Education Innovation Zone.
Right, and that piece is working with the community at large. So
that's the bigger
what
side.
we do know is that the Waianae Coast has a lot of providers of services, that the providers there are very committed to the community, and it's interesting to sit at the table with them. They're very open to talking about how do we work better together? How do we collaborate better together? How do we make sure our services are the right services? And so it's always very refreshing to sit in a meeting with providers that are willing to come to the table and say, how can we do things better? And how do we make life better? So part of the Education Innovation Zone is just that. It's working together with the community providers and the organizations and all the entities that are on that coast looking to improve the well-being of the people on that coast. And what are the resources that we can bring to the table, and the expertises that we might have that we can bring to the table to help move this picture forward, or to help move the discussion forward. How do we participate in that? Can we participate more fully and be a better partner in helping to move these things forward? And that way, the more we strengthen that net, the more we're able to catch those kids who fall through, to address the family issues and make sure families get the help that they need, so a child can focus on education and not have to be worried and brought into another realm where they're trying to focus on the needs of the family because that's not working. So how do we make sure the service providers and we are working together with them to kind of wrap those services around them?
It sounds like, you're not being the leader. You're being just a partner.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not a new idea.
Yeah.
I mean, really what Miley has covered for us, and what we hope the part is new is that we all do it at the same time.
Yes.
And it's, if our role is convener, or if our role is facilitator in some aspect, or if our role is a leader in another part of it, there's so many parts in this pipeline that, we're trying to stitch together. We're trying to haku together. That everyone is going to have a different role in a different place in a different point in time. And, we're spending a lot of time looking at how other communities approach their model making and all of that too, and what continues to come out, and what we hope the EIZ and the attention to the race to the top will do is just align all of us to just, and and I think that's kind of a fundamental community challenge generally in other areas too.
Yes.
And this is a new way for Kamehameha Schools to interact
I'm sure
with the
it's
community.
different.
And we've taken on very new and different community outreach experiences that are new to us and new to the community too. I think we have a long-standing history, like you referenced, in many ways, and we have looked for a site, so to speak, that presence, that educational facility, beyond some of the recent attention that we have had, and we are continuing to do that still. And that's really the third part that really is the supporting part to the community's piece, the Education Innovation Zone, and the DOE's anchor, this P20 partnership that they're trying to align other public school providers as well, is a KS physical presence, so where KS can, as we go through these conversations, where are the gaps of delivery? For some communities it is early education, but for other small neighborhoods or communities it's not. They need, literacy. They need after-school programs instead. And we are going through that now. We are going through learning the needs. And that's a lot of talk story time, which is fun for Miley and I. And, and the creativity, the exciting part for me, and kind of what my day job is to translate those conversations and ideas into a place, with walls or no walls, maybe depending on what the project is. Some of the Waianae-based learning collaborators are, we don't need any shelter, the land shelters us. It's a look down, not a look up, a totally different perspective. And so we hope we may have an anchor site, so to speak, and do a hub and spoke idea, and we've been approached, we've actually been overwhelmed by what has happened recently with communities saying, come be here. We have a program, and to have the synergy of the adjacency of a KS facility that can bring the kids to us, because we're here, but they're not in the business of bringing kids to them. Their programs, that's what they run. And so that's where we need to, and we are spending the time now. And we have some existing kind of engagements with different community, both formal, like yourself, and informal leaders, to help guide us through those conversations. And we're really excited to have multiple presences. It's just a tendency to kind of focus on one thing, and it doesn't have to be that. And we're receptive, and we're open to this idea of being in many places that respond better. And that's new for Kamehameha Schools. From the facility side, from a built environment side.
I even think it's very new for the community too, because that expectation of somebody's going to come in here and provide this for us, and it's been a different approach. It's been collaborativeness. We're speaking with different individuals and different agencies, and even like the DOE, the expectation of the DOE to come in and solve all the problems, and they're not. So this new public-private sector, how do we all work it going forward, and what is the best for specific areas? And when you talk to those individuals in different areas, you kind of find out, well, this will work over here, but it might work over there, and who are also my other partners in these areas, and how can we shore up those industries? And I think the holistic approach is pretty much the whole coastline, and then going down to the Kapolei area, you know, and the thought process is how many, you know, children can we touch, you know, in education, and shore up them to make sure they can get through that P to 20, and expand those dreams and those horizons for those youths, and then, you know, making sure that they're going to be good enough to take over when we're no longer here, you know. And I think that's always been the mindset, and I can clearly hear that coming out here, and it's really genuine. Now people are like, "Whoa, this is for real," you know. It is. It's really,
and
it's real.
we need the input on how to make it a quality touch, how to make it an intense touch.
Yes.
And, you know, relevance for me is really important, you know, and I feel like sometimes I'm becoming so unrelevant to teenagers. And, you know, it's true once they see the future as themselves, you know, but that's kind of my simple way of kind of putting it, that then they own it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that disconnection, I think, just on a spiritual level and on an individual level. And that we kind of come at it sometimes with these like over systematic approaches, you know, to do it. But it requires all of us to know each other and to have a shared understanding of each other's needs. And so it's excited. We're in some early conversations with that part, you know, and then we're in very more mature discussions with other parts of it. And the map that we provided, you know, if they go back to it, we have like these red dots or these intensity zones, you know, and it's just to show that KS is in Waianae, is on the Leeward Coast, and some of the, you know, just to flag all the collaborators that Kamehameha provides funding for or in-kind services for. Thank you, and to, you know, and it's Miley's and her Kapua team's job to connect all of that and to make it that radiating beam, you know, that it is. And so yeah, we have fun.
I think there was some misconceptions that, you know, well, oh, Kamehameha Schools is now coming out to our community.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been, I mean, I've known them out there for a long time. They've had the preschools out there. They had, I think, even some sites for preschools. They've been in the reading programs. I mean, so you've been out there for quite a while. We're just taking it, how can we do better and how can we do more?
And it's a different approach that empowers other people who have good ideas and do it better than us, and enabling them to do that good work. You know, MPeace is one example. We have many, you know, Kala Farms, you know, Ma'o, I mean, whole Aina. There are a lot of, and the Aina base tend to, you know, it's really like the world's giving them the spotlight, but they've always been a beacon for that style of learning, the importance of cultural integration into, you know, practicality for children. And so it's just, you know, now they get a different spotlight that were their models for other project-based learning.
And we have the Learning Center in Nanakuli.
Totally,
And so this is an expansion of that, and just kind of coming out and seeing how can we enhance and how can we add to what's already out there, pulling on the strengths of everybody. And the people on that coast, incredible strength. And the organizations, incredible strength. How do we highlight that? And how do we draw it out so that kids know that there is that deep strength and there is that deep value in who they are, and that they can accomplish. And how do we bring all our best gifts to the table and help them mesh together a lot better so that we can support the kids in those dreams.
Because I mean, it is about our youth, you know, and how do we provide all the opportunities to make sure that they can make it, and then have that option when they get out of high school. Do I want to go into college? Do I want to do a technical course? Do I want to go into an entrepreneurship? I mean, and you know, I think it's so awesome. Like this weekend, where they're going to be taking the 350 students to UH and letting them dream big, dream big. You know, you're going to be able to achieve those with all these little support networks that are taking you to that challenge. And I mean, I can just see these kids going across the world and becoming scholars everywhere. And you know, hopefully they'll they'll come back.
bring it
or
back. They'll bring their
it
brains back.
And yeah, I mean, and that's what's such a blessing. I mean, it really, truly is. You know, I looked at it as, you know, Kamehameha Schools can educate 1,200 students a year, or you can touch 10,000 children a year. You know, sometimes it's just that one little touch in that child's life that takes it in a whole different direction. You know, and working forward with that. I think it's going to be a great project going forward. I'm so happy you guys are out there, and I'm so happy that I'm part of this project. And you know, I think it's going to be great, visionary, awesome. I think we're all here to
Good work
work
to be done.
together with other partnering agencies. We're kind of like running out of time here. It does go rather rapid, so I'd like to really thank you guys for coming.
Mahalo.
Yeah, I'm really happy with what we've seen already on our coastline, where we're going with Race for the Top, and we are going to be having that education meeting, which you know
We'll be
DJ
there.
Mailer is going to be coming out and speaking at that meeting. The town hall meeting again will be at the Waianae District Park, the multi-purpose room. It'll be on August 17th, which is a Wednesday at 7 p.m. The focus will remain on education. So really, I look forward to maybe you guys will be out there too, and we can have some more dialogue going forward with our community, and appreciate it. Thank you for
Mahalo.
coming today.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you. Aloha. Thank you for joining me today on another episode of Jordan's Journal. I look forward to you coming out to our education meeting. And thank you to Kamehameha Schools for coming out and sharing the afternoon with us. Aloha. Thank you very much.